Okay, good day, people. Week 167 in the fish room. Not got a great deal to say this week because I've been ill, really. I've had 4 days of the lurgies. So, I've left my cup of tea out of reach, which is horrendous. I'll just put the food and the tea back into stretching distance. Right. Haven't really done a lot this week. I'm just trying to think what I have actually done, and only issue really I've had is got a suspicion something might be eating one of my Gonis. Yes, it's weird because it's got a lot of heads missing. Just a nub and no tentacles on the end. Now I know my powder blue likes that Goni, that particular Goni, because I've literally witnessed him rip heads off of it. And he doesn't seem to eat them either, which is bizarre. He rips them off and then just swims down the tank and spits them out. So I don't know what it is that makes him do that, but it's quite infrequent. And to be fair, the Goni's been in there, 3 years? And other than having the odd head with no tentacles on it, it's been fine. But the last 3 or 4 days, one side of the Goni's been almost completely retracted. I'm looking at it now. You can't see it on the camera. I'll put a bit of video in there. They're out, but it's just, there is a lot of heads there with no tentacles on at all. I cannot think of any other reason why it would look like that other than something has eaten it. And by something, I'm pretty sure it's going to be one of the fish. I've got a coral beauty in here, got a copper band, got a Marcella butterfly. Regal tangs are a bit weird at times. I've seen them chomping on some of my SPS occasionally. I always convince myself that they're not actually eating coral. There's probably a bit of nori sheet stuck on there or something. I don't know, but yeah. So I will have to get. I've got a spy camera set up. So on the top of this tank here, it's facing straight at that Goni. And to be fair, I just left the camera on, the feed on yesterday for probably 2 hours, just while I was in my office, so I could keep glancing at it. I didn't see anything go near it that I would look like it was causing a problem. So it is out more today than it has been for a while, but yeah. So that's kind of the main thing really for the week. I can't think of anything else that's worthy of talking about really. The tank is back into ticking along, still waiting for that Setosa to kind of come back to me. I've had a couple of frags knocked off that I've had to stick back. That's just normal day to day, or week to week I should say really. Part of owning a tank, I guess, with big tangs in it, because they are quite clumsy at times. They seem to they get quite boisterous when the lights go down at night, and they race around the tank like lunatics really. And they're not that skillful, I guess, negotiating some of the corals. So kind of smallish frags like that get knocked a lot, and if I haven't welded them to the rock, they tend to get knocked off. So I think that's pretty much it, if I'm thinking about. My Regal Tang has I thought at first it was a fluke or something on his eye, but it looks like he's damaged his eye. So I've got two Regal Tangs, and one of those Regal Tangs I noticed, they do weird things anyway, Regal Tangs, but this particular one was laying under a rock on his side in the morning, and they're good feeders, so normally as soon as I come in to feed them, they're up and at the end of the tank where the feed is. and he didn't come out. And to be quite honest, the first time I saw him, I thought he was dead. I thought, oh, what's happened there then? Because he literally lies right under a rock, sort of at the back of the tank down this end. So I thought, oh Christ, what's happened there? So obviously I just sat and stared at him for a while and realised he was still breathing, and then he stayed there. Like I said, last week I was ill, so I didn't really pay that much attention. Cleaned the glass, fed the fish, that was it really. And he didn't come out at all for the feedings for probably 5 days. So he was obviously very unhappy. I mean, he's out swimming around fine now, but he has a very opaque eyeball on his right side, and it looks like he's either caught his eye or he's been slashed by one of the other tangs across his eyeball. So he sat there for a week basically without moving, and then I noticed that he would pop out when the food drifted down, and then he'd quickly go back in under that rock again. And then in the last couple of days he's out and swimming around as normal. So I'm going to keep an eye on it. I mean, none of the other fish have got any symptoms of anything, flukes or anything similar. So I think he might have just got in a little spat and damaged his eye. He's either crashed into a rock or something, or he's had a scalpel go across the top of his eye. I can't actually work out if he's still got an eye, because it's quite difficult to see how bad that wound is. I'm looking at the wrong one. So yeah, so I guess that's just something, if you have fish long enough, sometimes they get injured, don't they? So he doesn't seem to be affecting him now. He's feeding well, swimming out and about. He won't show. I'm trying to see the side that's got the dodgy eyeball, but he's facing me with his good eye. So I don't know if he's blind in that other eye now, or whether it's just very badly obscured. But anyway, it seems to be, he's still fat and happy, and I've watched him this morning, he's feeding fine, so I'll have to wait and see. But it's that debate of whether I should try and catch him and see whether that is actually damage to the eye or some sort of fluke or bacterial infection. But that's one thing that makes me think it's maybe a fluke or not damaged, is it's really just localised to that eyeball, like completely just over what would be his eye. And you think if he'd had a slash, it would start, before and after the eye, and not just the eye. So anyway, I will see. He seems happy, he's eating fine, he's nice and fat still, so I don't think there's any issues with his health really. But they do get a bit feisty, the two of them. They've grown up together, obviously. I bought the pair of them and they've been fine, but they do have their moments. So I don't know whether it's that time when they reach sexual maturity and they get rather boisterous with each other. So that's where we are, but they're fine. All the other fish look good. Everyone's happy. Oh, my fire and ice echinatas ended up in the bin. So annoying, those smooth skinned corals, isn't it? Because it looked really good and it has a nice period where it was growing, like extra new growth, and I was like, wow, that's quite good. So everyone tells you how insanely hard they are. And then last week while I was ill, it just gave up the ghost and died. So what I should have done is fragged it into two and put them in two different parts, but I didn't think about it. Yeah, so that's that. So what else? Oh, so the other thing I've done, not really related to the tank to be honest, but I did a live stream on Sunday morning, which was called Nature or Nurture. So basically it was that anthropomorphism which we do with our tanks, we do with everything in life really. It's just a way that we project our kind of human feelings and insights onto things that aren't. So it's like naming your fish, and placing corals and, you know, all the things we do to replicate what we think we want a reef to look like. And actually it's just a man-made manufactured scene that we think. And we all do it, everyone does it, there's nothing wrong with it, it's just the way people reef. But what it made me realise is, what did my wife call me? Artistically stunted, I think, because so I don't put any thought into anything really. When I think about how it's like when I designed this fish room, I see people with CAD drawings and they work out the pipe work, everywhere the light's going to go, the wiring, all the plumbing runs. I literally did none of that. I came in here when this was an old brick built garage with cobwebs all over the place. I measured the length of it, 5 meters, and I instantly went, originally I'll get a 5 meter tank. And then when I got in touch with the glass manufacturers, so the tank manufacturers, they said 4 meters is the biggest you can get in a single pane at that particular time, unless you wanted to go into just ridiculous amounts of money. So I went, right, I'll have a 4 meter tank then. So that's how much planning went into that. So I didn't really think, 4 meter tank. I knew that the floor down there, I could drop the plumbing through. So I went, drill me 2 holes in the end of the tank for a weir box, job done. And that was it. And that was about as much thought as I put into the tank, to be honest. I just went metre deep, 4 meters long, 700 tall, ordered the tank. And then I went, right, I need to sit it on something. I'd watched Stand at Tidal Gardens with his T-site aluminium, and I went, right, I'll buy an aluminium stand. Got in touch with the company, worked out the weight of the tank when it's full of water with the glass, told them the weight, said I wanted a safety factor of 4:1, so that stand can take 4 times the weight of this tank. They designed it and they delivered it basically, and that was it. So now I had the stand, put the stand in. Then I decided that I wanted to clad all the walls and make them waterproof and white, but I didn't. So I did every single stage as I come to it. I deal with it. I do not plan ahead for pretty much any kind of eventuality really. And I realised that's the way. I mean, that's the way I live my life really, but that's definitely the way I read. So when I was on that live stream, there were so many people, and I realised I'm actually in the minority. So many people. One, they make a fish list. I mean, my fish list was I wanted the Achilles tang and one of the Nardi bass. The rest was plastic, really. I could have gone any way I wanted. And then they colour code their corals and they colour code their fish. So they actually buy fish because they want certain colours in their tank. I've never even entered my head to do that. I just go in the LFS. I like tangs, so I go in there and I like a tang and I think it's going to fit within this kind of tank. I buy it. I don't go, I'm not going to buy that because I've already got a bluefish. But apparently a lot of people do that, and it really surprised me. And then they do the same with the corals. They buy corals for certain colours. They won't put certain colours. They have like charts which tell them which colours clash and which colours don't, and they replace corals. And I realised most people do that, and I've never done that. It's never occurred to me. And I just found it interesting that, I suppose because you just set your tank up and you crack on with it, you kind of assume that everyone has the same thought process, don't you? And then you have conversations with people and it's just completely different than the way they do it. So yeah, I thought that was interesting. So I've realised that I'm obviously in the minority in my, I guess you'd call it a slightly blasé approach to I just get dragged and just stick them when there's a space, really. I mean, I make some, if I know what the coral is, like I won't put Monty's right up high because you know they're going to shade everything below it. Staghorns can take up a lot of real estate, so you've done them right at the front. But other than that, yeah, it's not only that, but I don't care either. It doesn't bother me that I've got a load of green corals in one spot and not in another spot. I don't, like my wife said, artistically stunted. Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Just don't bother me really. So I guess, and I suppose the thing is, that when I sort of look at my tank and I like it because it's obviously my tank, there must be a lot of people who look at it and just go, yeah, he ain't done a very good he ain't done a very good job of putting those corals or selecting the corals or yeah. So it never occurred to me before. So I'm 3.5 years into the tank. Yeah, and I've just learned that most people would do it very differently. But yeah, that's why I like those discussions because it's good to just see other people's perspective on how they approach things. You know, because it's difficult to step away from the way you reef or the way you just live basically and the way you see things and try and come at a like an oblique angle and see how other people see things. Yes, I found it interesting. So I don't know if that just makes me. I mean, I suppose my first instinct is makes me just sound pretty lazy. I don't. I just go, oh, I'll just stick it there. That do. And I don't think about what's next to it. I don't really think about what it's going to grow into because, like I say, I will deal with a problem as it comes. So, you know, in that area over there where the corals have grown into each other, I've just hacked them back, and that's kind of what I do to deal with it. If I couldn't tell you whether the colours match or don't match or clash with each other because I can't think like that. I don't think like that. It just don't bother me. So anyway, yeah, I just thought I'd mention it. I found it quite interesting. I'm just staggered, really, by the amount of planning that some people do for their tanks. And I think the other danger is you can overplan it. If you sit there for so long looking at your tank, designing your pipe work, I think it's very easy to just keep going, oh, I could do that, or I can do this, I can do. Yeah, I mean, even when I did my plumbing for this tank, I never drew or wrote a single thing down. What I did is I just sat on my computer, I went on the plumbing website, and then I just stared off into space and I plumbed it in my head. So I went, right, I've got a weird box, 350mm drains, they're all going to come down. I want two of a gate valve, so I buy two gate valves. Then I come down, they've got to go, one can go straight through the floor, the other two have got to come in at an angle, so I need two 45s on each end, by 445. And that's the way I did my plumbing. I just did it in my head all the way down till they went into the sump, and then I hit buy now, and I got the plumbing. I never drew a thing. So I guess that's probably not a good way of doing it, but that's the way I did it. I mean, it's a bit like this, what's going to be this spawning tank. I just start with, I've got a tank, and then now I've got the tank, I need to cover it in. I sat in my office and went in my head, what's going to be the easiest way to cover that tank in completely? And I just sort of in my head went, I mean, I know that there's what is that, Red Sea 170, I think they're called, aren't they? So I think they're 600 by 500. I've got a gap at the back because I've got waist down, so it's off the wall about 650. So I went, right, so if I come out 680 with some T-slot, I'll just build a frame around it. I just designed it in my head and ordered the stuff online. I wasn't even out. I didn't even measure it, to be honest, because I knew the tank size. So yeah, it's always kind of worked out, but I guess that's just not what most people would do. Anyway, I just found it interesting. You probably don't. What is you chatting about? But anyway, so I can't think of anything else I've done this week. No, no. I added some more bio pellets. I think I said that last week. So the nitrates are definitely on a downward slope. So I reckon at the moment they're probably below 30 now. Well, I think they was. Well, my ICP said they were 43 or something, 44. I can't read the salad for test kits really, so I'm proper ballparking those figures when I look at them. So I always think they're around 30, but obviously it was 45 or 43 or something. So I'm not particularly good at reading those colours. But now it's definitely a quite a considerable shade lighter than it was, so it's going in the right direction. I'll just keep an eye on it. I mean, it's absolutely full to capacity, that bio pellet reactor. So I couldn't fit any more in there if I wanted to. And so I'm sure that Regal tang just had a nibble on that SPS. Yeah, so guys, I think it's going to be short and sweet. I can't think of anything else which is worthy of talking about. Yeah, so I've not done anything because I've been ill. So, don't know how long that's been, but yeah, I will see you in the next one.